Alright guys, I am going to make a video here on some questions that I'm being asked. We're going to cover about 7 different things here. I will tag this so that you can find them and jump to where you need to go. First off, how to make a new drawing file. So I have a part open that we'll be using for reference, and when I want to go to how to make a new drawing file, I'm just going to go to File, and I'm going to click New. So I'm going to get this nice new dialog box here, and I'm going to choose Curly Title Block. If you don't have this installed on your computer, please go watch the video on how to install the Curly Title Block. The IDW file is downloadable on the OneDrive, right in the first level of the OneDrive, so you can just download it right from there. So I'm going to go ahead and create this new drawing sheet. Whenever you create a new drawing sheet, this dialog box pops up and it asks you for the title, designer, the initial scale, and the sheet number. You can fill this information in now or you can fill it in later. I'm here now. I know what I'm making, so I'm going to go ahead and put in most of this information, and we're just going to call this Dim Practice. And then obviously I am the designer, so I'll put in my name. I do not know the scale that I'm going to use yet, so I'll leave that blank for now. I do, however, know that this is sheet 1, and click OK. So I've got my Curly Title Block dimension sheet here, and you can see that the Dim Practice, my name, and the sheet number are already filled in. The date and the scale and this block down here will fill in later. The first thing I want you to do, and this is a habit I want you to get into. Right now, your first sheet over here on your browser bar is labeled sheet. That's not very informative. So to relabel a sheet name, all you have to do is double click on it until it becomes highlighted in that paler blue, and then you can just type over it and give it a different name. Make it useful to yourself. So now I have a sheet on my browser bar with a name that means a little bit more significant. And you're probably asking, why do I care about that? Well, we're going to start adding more and more sheets here. And if you just start adding a sheet, you're going to get sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, so forth and so on. And they're not very informative when you need to switch back and forth between them. You have to do hunt and peck. So there is how we add or we change a name of a sheet. Now let's go ahead and add in a part. So I'm just going to choose base, and just for the sake of simplicity, I'm only going to add in one view. I do, however, want to make this a little bit bigger, so I'm going to change my scale and hit OK. So now I have a part here, and you'll notice that the date has been auto-populated and the path of that file has been auto-populated. This is very handy when later you realize you have this dimension drawing, but you don't know where the file is. Look, I can follow this path on my computer and know where it is. Now, we still have our scale missing, so let's go ahead and fix that. We're going to go up here to Curly Title Block on our browser bar and open up its children, and you'll see field text. If you double click on that, this edit properties box is going to pop up, and you can see the date and the file path are automatically populated. You can't change them, that's why they're grayed out. But the title, my name, and the sheet number, which we put in, are here. We could change those if we wanted to. And you can, at this point, add in your scale because we know what it is. So make any changes, any additions here, and hit OK. It's auto-populated. All right, let's do a little bit of dimensioning. And first off, I want to move this up a little bit. So we want to dimension some straight lines and a bunch of holes. Remember, we're going to go to the Annotate tab. We're going to choose the Dimension feature. And I'm going to break some dimensioning rules here today just because I want you guys to be able to see lots of stuff. And I am just going to dimension these sides out so we can play with those numbers and hit OK. I right-clicked and hit OK. Now, if you want to dimension the holes, you want to use the hole and thread tool. Because these are specialty holes, they're counterbore, they're countersunk, they have depth to them. If I just use the dimension tool, all I'm going to get, well, pretty much is that, a diameter or radius, which isn't very helpful. So instead of that, let's use the hole and thread tool. So when you hover over the hole with the hole and thread tool, you see your crosshair changes to a cross, and you get this weird little arrow symbol. I can't really see what it is, but that's just telling you that you're using the hole tool. Click on it and drag out, and look. This is a countersunk hole with 2 different diameters and 2 different depths, or a depth and an angle, and it did it all for us. So we'll do it again. We'll do another one. Remember, you have to take these out of the object. All right? Super, super easy. Inventor makes life easy for us. So that's how you can dimension holes. Now, I just added in this fillet right here because I want to show you how to dimension a fillet as well. I'm just going to zoom in a bit. So I'm just going to use the regular dimension tool, and I am not going to click on the middle where that point of origin is, because it kind of gets a little complicated. But if I click just off the side, you'll see that next to my arrowhead is a circle with a radius line in it, and the arc has turned red. So if I click there and drag out, I get my leader line with the arrowhead and my radius all established for me. So that's just the easiest way to do dimensions of fillets, holes, and straight lines. All right, next what I want to do is talk about the tolerances and how we can change any dimension for tolerances like we would be doing in 7.3. All right, let's do some tolerances. If you remember, there's 3 basic types of tolerances. There is limit, bilateral, and unilateral. So let's do some of those on our basic just numbers. Make sure that dimension is not turned on anymore. And we're going to right click on our dimension and go to edit. Or you can just double click on your dimension. It's a little bit trickier. And you're going to get this dimension dialog box that pops up. This is the same one that used to always pop up every time you put a dimension in, that we found very annoying. If you want it to continue to pop up when you put dimensions in, you just have to check this button right here. We're going to go to the Precision and Tolerance tab. As tolerance implies, this is where we're going to put in our tolerances. And there are a bunch of different tolerance methods listed here. You're going to have to choose the one that is correct for whatever it is you're trying to do. We're going to start out with a stacked limit dimension, where that would be the 2 numbers are stacked on top of each other. So I'm going to choose that. I'm also going to check this override displayed value. That's just kind of a default. We want to uncheck that. And then here we can put in an upper and lower limit, whatever we want. So let's say 2.05 and 1.9. Those are our upper and lower limits that we want. As soon as I hit OK, it is going to change my dimension to those limits that I just put in. That, my friend, is a limit dimension. Now let's do down here on this one, right click, go to edit. I want to do a unilateral, or let's do a bilateral dimension. And the names are different in Inventor for some reason, but we're calling symmetric. Remember, symmetric means equal on both sides. So we're going to choose a symmetric. And you see, as soon as I clicked on symmetric down here, a plus 0.00 snapped in. We can specify what our limits are going to be. We want to do plus or minus 0.05. Let's just do that. And then as soon as we hit OK, there it is. We have a bilateral dimension that has been established. And let's do one more over here on this 1.88 and edit. And I want to do a unilateral. Okay, so that is going to be, so here I'm going to choose the deviation, and I'm going to specify my upper and lower, whether they're the same or different. Let's say 0.05 for my upper, 0.00 for my lower. And when I hit OK, there it is. So I can go up a certain degree, but I can't go down a certain degree. So that's how you do it on regular dimensions. Now let's see how we can change the dimensions or edit the tolerances on a hole. So we're going to go ahead and right click again and go to edit hole note. And then we're going to choose this precision and tolerance option. Right, and it's going to, let me get these out of the way so you can see it. It's going to give us some options to change our tolerances. We want tolerances, so we're going to check this little box. And then again, just like before, we're going to choose our method, whether it's symmetric, deviation, stacked, min, max, what have you. So let's go with a symmetric, and let's say we want a variance or tolerance of 0.05 on either side. When we hit OK, you have to hit OK twice. There we go. We have a diameter of 0.25 plus or minus 0.05. Now I want to do one that is a little bit more complicated. Let's choose let's choose this one right here. This particular hole is a countersunk, so we have a diameter that's going all the way through. That's the inner circle. Then we have a diameter of 0.38, which is the outer circle, with an angle of 82 degrees. Because remember, this is a counterbore. So there's a number of dimensions that are listed on here, and we can put in tolerances on all of them. So edit, hold note again, and choose precision and tolerance, and you can see right here we have 4 different dimensions that we can put tolerances on. This would be the diameter. This is your countersunk diameter. The next one is going to be the countersink angle, and then finally the countersink depth. Now, the depth we have going all the way through, so we're not going to put a tolerance on that because through is through. It either is through or it's not. But we can change all these other ones. So let's put in, for our diameter, let's make it 0.02 for the diameter of the hole. And then our countersunk diameter, which would be this one right down here, the 0.38, let's change that to 0.03. And then let's say we can do a change on our angle of 1 degree. Let's make it 2 degrees. When I hit OK, and I hit OK again, you can see there's all of the various tolerances that we just snapped in. So it's just a matter of right-clicking and editing the... One more thing that you can do, guys, let me show you again. We go back into edit, is we can change the number of decimal places. So it defaults to 2 decimal places, but you can change it to as many as you want for the precision that you're looking for. So if you ever want to change that when you're doing a dimension drawing, say you're doing like 0.1875 as a diameter and it's rounding it up to 0.19, that's a big change. You want to go ahead and change it to add in more decimal places. And we can also do the same thing where we change the number of places of the tolerance. So if I was to add in a tolerance here, you see it's got 3 decimal places, or I can take it down to 1, or I can take it up to 7, whatever you need it to be. All right, guys. So in this video, I'll remind you, we covered how to make a sheet, how to change the sheet name, how to place the part, how to change the information in the text box, how to alter dimensions and insert tolerances. And the last thing I want to do that's super important is how to save multiple sheets to a single PDF file. So even though we've dimensioned all this stuff, let's make sure that we save it. Okay, and I'm going to call it, let's see, 7.3. Actually, no, I'm just going to call this instruction on drawing. You guys call yours whatever it's supposed to be called. Make sure you know where it's going. Okay. And I'm going to say yes because I did change something to put in this little fillet. Now I want to show you how to add in another sheet. So we've got this drawing file. It only has 1 sheet. When you do your automata, you're going to have multiple parts, and I'd like it all to be in one file to keep it all nice and neat. So to add a new sheet, we're just going to go up here to the name of our file, right next to the icon for drawing. Right click and hit new sheet. And our dialog box will pop up again, and we're going to put in our new sheet name. I'm going to call this, or our new title name. This will be Holes 2, just for the sake of simplicity. Again, put in my name. My sheet number is 2 because it's my second sheet, and hit OK. And look, we have a new sheet. Okay, now it will default my second sheet name to be the same as my first with just a number 2 behind it. So, and it is the unhighlighted sheet that you are active on. So I'm going to change that first off. Let's call this single block. Let's call this multi-block. Okay, and I'm going to place something in here. Let's go with, heck, let's go with our fastener that I made. And we'll put this in here and do a proper dimension multi-view of it. So there it is. And now I can do all of my dimensioning, whatever I want to call it. Let's change this to fastener. Okay. And now you can see I have 2 sheets in this particular PDF. And let's throw in another one. It doesn't really matter what I call it. I have 3 sheets all in one file. And like I said, it's the unhighlighted sheet that is the active one. A little contrary to what we're used to, but that's what it is. Now, if I want to save all of these to a single PDF, and this is how I want you to turn all of your PDFs in. You're going to go to File, Export, PDF. All right, then you choose this option button down at the bottom. Make sure you do this and choose all sheets and say okay. Then you can give it a location where you want to send it, give it a file name, and go ahead and click save. And it'll think for a second. And then when we open up when you open up your file manager, and there it is, instruction on drawing. If I double click on that and open that file up, it's going to open it up in Adobe or PDF Reader. And look, there's 1 sheet, 2 sheets, and 3 sheets. You would just save this file and turn turn this file into the OneDrive. Make sure you save it as the appropriate name, whatever it is, underscore your last name. Please follow the naming convention. All right, guys, if you have questions, you know where to find me.